Hi there, John here from Cape Town today. I finally moved back down to Cape Town from my family farm. The flight down was not enjoyable at all. Everybody on top of each other with masks on. But I wanted to make a video today about leadership, something that I think most people are struggling with at the moment because we live in such an uncertain time, and I'm writing about this and Future Next, and so it's very much on top of mind. I was part of the Future of Leadership discussion on Entrepreneurs Organization's global platform just the other day, which was such a great privilege. But what really came out of it for me was this concept that the future of leadership is really not about practices. It's not about new practices that we need to be having, but it's about a new philosophical discussion we need to have. It needs to be about new principles that we are going to be having to really start to think about. And it happens in all sorts of endeavors in human field. In any human field, it comes a time where you can't solve the new world with old problems. It happened in physics, it happened in medicine, it's going on right now with climate change, and now we are in the state where organizations and businesses are being affected in a very, very tough circumstance that we're in at the moment. And so what most people want to do is be resilient. And what they preach is resilience. Just fight through it and just keep going with it. And you're going to make it, and huddle around and talk to each other often and make sure your communications are right. But I think that's the worst thing to do. And I think it tires us out. It exhausts us trying to be resilient using old ideas to solve new world issues. So firstly, let's just figure out that resilience is important only if you are focused in on the right direction. If you focus in on the wrong direction, what's the point of resilience? It's actually a terrible thing. So the analogy I used in the talk the other day was, if you're in a house, and in this house, one side of the house is burning and the other side of the house is in renovations. You need to be able to understand that just putting the fire out is not going to get you to where you need to go. And just focusing on the renovations and not putting the fire out will be able to burn the whole house down. So what we have to do as leaders is we need to be able to focus on one or the other. You can't actually do both. If you do both, it's almost like being schizophrenic, because you're running trying to put this fire out while you're doing the renovations, and guess what? You're not doing any one of them well at all. And so the thing that we need to focus on is that in this new world of business, we need new principles, new philosophical ideas, because for the longest time we drove economies of scale, where it was always about bringing your costs down and your profit up. But today we live in a world that requires economies of learning, not economies of scale. It's how quickly can you unlearn to relearn? How quickly can you preempt what your customers want? And it's not so much about efficiency, but robustness. It's how many partners and collaborating teams do you have around you offering as many different services and products within your field to make sure that you are resistant of any of these sort of disruptions that are starting to come around us. These are big discussions, and I don't think anybody has the answer. But I think what we need to do is understand that the idea of resilience needs to be put into the right format. And so this is what I advise organizations to do, is divide yourself up into today and tomorrow teams. Make sure you have people focused on putting the fire out today, while other people are planting the seeds for tomorrow. My business, Future Self Academy, I'm partners with Mark and Lisa, and I am in the tomorrow team, and Mark and Lisa are in the today team. I go out there, I find the relationships, I find the thinking around what's next. I then give that back to them, and then they implement it, and I keep going. If all of us are just implementing, there's no point, because nobody's looking out there. And if I was the only person in that business and all I was doing was looking out there and there was nobody actually implementing, it'd be a pointless exercise. The most famous today and tomorrow team is Steve Jobs. When he came back to Apple, there was the Linda computer. He hated it. But he realized that he couldn't create a new computer inside Apple. So what he did was he took his top engineers and some new ones, took them to office away from Apple, put a pirate flag on top of that, and they created the Macintosh that disrupted the Linda. He had a tomorrow team that focused on disrupting the today team. And so you can't do it from within. I don't believe you can. The immune system of your organization will never let you. So if you are in a position of leadership, or if you have a business, or if you're in a position of management, realize that if you're asking your people, even yourself, to do burning the house, putting the fire out, and doing the renovations, and then being resilient in doing both, you're not doing anybody any favors. So make sure that you're dividing your teams up into today and tomorrow teams, and good luck. It's a tough time out there, and we need to be able to focus in on what are we doing and how well we need to do it so that we're not spreading ourselves too thin and actually exhausting ourselves. Ciao from Cape Town.